Welcome to Season 8 of The Vets Unleashed,
where we take a deep dive into your animal queries, heartwarming and hilarious anecdotes, and fascinating perspectives as we dedicate this season entirely to listener mail.
I'm Dr. Mike.
And I'm Dr. Scott. I forgot to say that I'm Dr. Scott at the end. We are
okay.
just...
It's great. It'll be the new way we do it now. That's fine. Let it roll. One take. One take.
It'll be an A for effort. And today we are answering viewer or listener questions about ethical quandaries.
Quandaries, yeah. And to that end, we have a drink, which, Scott, I don't know how yours turned out, but this is called this is what I'm reading. The Moral Compass. Right? It's a layered drink, and it's got
it's supposed to be a layered drink.
Right. No, grenadine.
You can see the red in the bottom. Grenadine,
vodka,
and should be clear layer
white,
here.
Yep, and blue curacao.
Yeah,
a splash of lime juice.
Which
yours turned out purple. Purple.
Yeah. For
murky,
a while, it was. Yeah,
and like ethical things are.
The grenadine is still on the bottom, though. You can see that a little in my glass.
Yeah, me too.
And originally I did have a small layer of vodka in the center, but it was purple on the top. It was still I think the relative densities of the curacao and the vodka are not that different to allow layering.
Yeah, this was one we kind of made up and hope, there's probably some bartenders out there that actually know how to make those layered drinks and make a red, white, and blue layered drink, but we don't. But
I
anyway,
think with the really, really wide bar spoon with a cocktail glass like you have, not a coupe glass like I have, and then you take that really wide bar spoon, and so it lays over the top and hits really the side of the glass first, and then lays on the top. Yeah, because it was really hard to pour out of a,
you think it was hard for you? Like I have my tremor. I actually had to get Lisa to pour it for me because I was like, okay, I can do this. I do surgery, everybody. It was bad. Today it's like, it's not great today, but
okay.
Have you tasted it?
I have not yet. We should do
that.
Either. Here.
All right.
Cheers to ethical quandaries.
Yeah, ethical quandaries.
Moral dilemmas.
Mm-hmm. Sweet.
It's funny because there's no added sugar. I guess grenadine is pretty darn sweet.
It just tastes like
and curacao is too.
Yeah, it tastes like a sweet tart.
It's like a sweet tart martini.
You know what this would be good for is college. This is like a great college drink. Yeah, like you're out in college, just you want something that's tasty and seems elevated, but isn't.
Not till the very end.
Happy Pride Month, by the way.
Same to you. Happy Pride Month with our theoretically multicolored drink.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do keep sipping on it, so maybe it's better than I thought.
All right. Well, should we get to our first question? We have two questions today about ethical quandaries.
Yes. Are you ready? Dilemmas. I'm happy to. Yes. And looking over it, it's kind of fun to get these and like just, what's it going to say? I think this is going to be, I'll share a little, but it's probably more a behavioral thing. So I might yield the floor to you. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Wait, take a sip as I start the question.
Okay.
Dear Vets Unleashed, I live in a townhouse and my neighbor's dog barks all day while he's at work. He's on an end unit, so I don't think anyone else hears it, but I do, and my cat definitely does. I tried bringing it up, and he just dismisses me, saying, "Dogs bark, it's not that bad." I've also heard him yelling at the dog, and seen him use what looks like rough training techniques. He said it's just corrections to show him who's the alpha. I'm very concerned about that adorable pup. But the owner is a police officer. If I report it, he'll definitely know it was me, and I'm worried he'll retaliate. Do I report him, or am I overreacting? Signed, Barking in Boca Raton.
Oh,
So probably a retiree. Don't retirees move to Boca?
I think so.
So
Or,
probably home all day to hear that adorable pup barking.
yeah,
Yeah.
poor thing. Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's a lot to unpack there.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I've
Yeah,
actually
there
had,
is.
there's a ton to unpack there, right? Like, so we've got the
Yes.
barking question, we've got the neighbor question, we've got the,
Training, dubious training methodologies.
yeah, we're going to touch on that, I think. But like, I've had the question where somebody was like, my neighbor, my cop neighbor
Yeah.
is, just leaves the dog out chained up all day. Is that okay? What do we do? Because he's a cop. What do we get? What's going to happen? And that's a tough one. But
Yeah.
yeah. Let's see. What are your thoughts before I jump in? I know your thoughts are. I'm going to call Mike and see what he thinks.
Well, it's been, and I'll share a story of mine where
Yeah.
I had a neighbor in my condo in Seattle, the first home I ever owned, who accused my dog of barking all day. And it wasn't my dog, but I had to go like out of my way to prove that it wasn't me. So you always have to wonder, is the dog, maybe he saw the dog barking, um, or I'm sorry, he saw the training techniques and already sort of prejudged this cop,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
maybe it's another dog that's barking. But if he's absolutely sure it's the dog, you know, I guess my first thought is you can train dogs not to bark. And there are great things like with my own dog, I got the citronella collar that sprays a little puff of citronella, and that combined with behavioral modification and reducing the separation anxiety, she completely stopped barking. But it sounds like here the neighbor's not going to do that.
I was gonna say the first thing I would do is like prove it to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Record it. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
set it up so they can hear how much barking is actually going on. So
Yep.
you would at least have that to fall back on and go, look, this is how much it's happening. Maybe
Yeah.
that would maybe that would stop your cop neighbor from gaslighting you. Oh, it's not really
Yeah.
happening.
The other thing is if it's loud, I mean, some people, like I'm very sensitive to noise. I'm one of those highly sensitive people.
Hmm.
So I don't like a lot of noise. I like really when I like quiet, I like quiet. So, but if it's really loud, because I have a neighbor kitty corner across the fence. Like there's four fences that come together, and it's the one that's directly across where our points of our fence corners meet. And and that dog barks all the time. It drives me nuts. So you can get a decibel meter. I mean, that's one of the things I did to prove to my neighbors who thought it was my dog. I was getting threats from them. So I set up a decibel meter in my home. I took my dog to work with me every day. So she was hardly ever there
Right.
alone. And
Right.
by the end, I had had 2 warnings from our apartment complex, our homeowners
Yeah.
division, and it wasn't my dog. So what I ended up doing was when I got the second warning and they said, if there's a third complaint, you're gone. I went to our homeowner president and I said, I'm going to put my dog in a boarding facility and I'm going to keep her there for a month to 6 weeks. She will not be in this house for the next month. Um, and if you get another complaint, you will absolutely know it's not my dog. You can come right over. The association had the key. I said, I give you carte blanche permission to enter my house for the next 6 weeks to make sure and to validate my dog wasn't there. And sure enough, those neighbors, they were awful. And they ended up having other issues with people down the road. But eventually they called and they said, his dog's doing it again. Like it's either you get rid of that dog or yeah, he immediately went in there. He said, that dog isn't even there. This constitutes harassment at this point. You need to stop. We'll figure out which dog it is. But he
Yeah.
also waited with him that day and never heard a
Hmm.
dog bark once. So I
Yeah.
think they just
Made it up.
honestly, when I look back at it, I think they didn't like dogs. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that,
Well,
you know,
and that's something, this person could, get the homeowners association involved, right? So if you're afraid of retaliation, get an intermediary for sure. And the truth is too, if you make a complaint to the what is it?
yeah.
Animal control,
Homeowners. Oh,
homeowners
right.
association or animal control, you should feel pretty confident that you're not going to be retaliated against. But I don't know. I've not had that. who knows what happens. But I would go through an intermediary first. I'd get some information and find out, like record it so you have proof that it's actually happening and you can hear it and it's
Exactly.
right across. Yep, it's right here at the wall. I can hear it all the time.
Collect your
Here's my
data.
cat.
Yeah.
Here's my cat freaking out. So yes,
Yep.
it's actually, impinging on our, quality of life
Right.
as well. And so
Yep.
that could help out. And then you can go through an intermediary and that might help. As far as the rough training techniques, that is a tough one because people dig in with this. They think, those outdated ideas of have to be the alpha of the pack and it's just a correction. A correction is a punishment. You know what I mean? So people are always like, oh, I don't use punishment. I use corrections. I'm like, yeah, that's punishment. It's positive punishment. That's what you're
Especially
doing.
when you have a
And
breed that wants to please you.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we don't know what breed this other dog is, but
Sure.
most behaviorists think that using any kind of punishment is not going to be a benefit. So you don't really want to use that if you can help it, right? I personally think like there's no way we can not use punishment at all in our day-to-day world. I don't think we should go out of our way to do it, but if you're training a dog and it does something wrong, at some point you're going to go, "No, stop it. Don't." And the dog gets all scared and is like, "Oh, what did I do?" And you're like, "Oh, I didn't mean to do that." But, we're human. You know what I mean? And most dogs can handle small amounts of punishment just like
Sure.
most people can, right? They're going to
Right.
bounce back from it, but
Right.
some are going to get worse. And maybe
And
that's
wait,
what's going on with this dog.
especially the ones that are prone to aggression, correct? So
Aggression or
those are the ones
anxiety.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, a single slip up where you yell no when they do something they
Mhm.
shouldn't and you're frustrated
Yep.
isn't going to derail a training program. But if you
Right.
base your training program like a Cesar Chavez kind of thing,
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
everything is about
Cesar
pack
Milan.
mentality and being that Cesar Milan. Who did I say?
Chavez.
Cesar Chavez. Oh
Yeah.
no, he's a good
Different
guy.
guy. He's a good guy. We like him.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, no. Please, I
Love the farm
love him.
workers. Mm.
Yes, love the farm workers. We celebrate that day here
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Cesar Milan. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And he means well and is, a lot of dogs will be okay-ish with that sort of training technique. But I think if you can avoid that, that would be a lot better. There's a big to do right now because up in Canada, whatever the governing board of Canadian trainers is, put out a statement
It's
saying that,
probably called that,
I don't
the
know what it is.
governors of canine
Yeah,
trainers.
yeah, probably premiers because they're in Canada. They probably call it
Uh-huh.
something different. Yeah. Um, Said, put out something saying there might be a place and a use for, aversive techniques, and a
Mhm.
lot of the trainers are up in arms like there's no, like, the science is
What are
clear
you
on
basing
this.
that on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the science is absolutely clear on this. So, Zach
To that
George is
end,
a guy I follow and he's really up in
okay.
arms about that. Yeah, he's good trainer.
Do you know how it works as far as like military dogs? Because I will
Hmm.
tell you, my old ER. It's been 5 years now since I've
Hmm.
been in full time practice, but we did a lot of the police dogs, and they're a
Yeah.
unique breed. Where I wondered when I dealt with them. A lot of the times we weren't allowed to have, their handlers is what they called them, but those were difficult dogs. I mean, we're people who work with difficult dogs every day. Those were dogs that without chemical restraint, and without their handlers there, they were almost impossible to deal with. Do you know if they use like, do those training programs for working and police dogs use more, negative reinforcement?
I don't know for sure. My instinct is that a lot of them do, just because of the dogs that I have seen that, they use a lot of they also reinforce behaviors we
Yeah.
don't necessarily want, such as
They're trained
biting.
to
T
bite. Yeah.
Yeah. So in my opinion, those dogs generally are not gonna make good pets. Like, right? Like, you can't I have a whole bunch of other ethical issues around police dogs and if we should be using them at all for many, many, many reasons.
Right.
I don't not sure we
We've
should be
talked about
using
it
them.
some.
We
Yeah,
have.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, there's sociological reasons, there's ethical reasons the dogs don't get to choose what they want. So to me, there's a lot of problems there. But you're right. The other thing that happens with those dogs is that when we're punishing them, we're actually punishing out warning behaviors. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mhm.
So,
Absolutely.
a dog is going to growl and then it's going to snap and then it's going to bite. And if we punish them for growling or snapping, it doesn't change how they feel about things, but what do they got left? Biting. That's
Yeah.
it. So those are the
Yeah.
dogs that
Well, and
bite
that's how
out of
those dogs are
nowhere.
trained. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So, yeah.
yeah, so those dogs are just they're tweaked in a way towards more aggressive, but that aggression, they only really have that final, drive, and it's controlled by their handler. So that relationship is really close. And ideally, to me, if you're a handler of those dogs, I think you know going into it that this is going to be my dog for his and or her entire life.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
all of that saying,
Mhm.
like with this question, I'm concerned about his handling techniques. To me, I would say pick your battles. And
Mhm.
the reality is that in most, if not all states, and I'm not saying I agree with this, but the fact is dogs are considered property. We use the word pets or we say we own a dog here on this podcast,
Right.
even though I think there's some, that probably bristles some people's
I
they don't
get it.
like that terminology. But I think you don't really have a leg to stand on with regard to you not liking how he's training his dog. And I would leave that for another time. It sounds like we both agree that we wouldn't pursue, a legal response from a police officer. We would say, go to the homeowners association, get your data in place first, maybe invite the homeowner association president over for coffee during a time that you absolutely know there's going to be barking, and you sit
Yeah.
there and you just say, let's be quiet for a minute. I just want to show you what I live with every day. And maybe have a letter from your vet saying, my cat needs to be on amitriptyline or,
Yeah.
off label clomipramine now because he's so stressed out from this dog,
Yeah. That's a great way to handle that, I think. Yeah,
and
because we could
start
get
there.
yeah, we could definitely go down a rabbit hole of the training things. And the
Yeah.
question then becomes, where does the training, rough training or correction, where does that go into abuse? And the laws are going to be different for every state on that. But that's a tougher one to prove. I suppose if there were actual damage to the dog, but I'm worried that that dog is actually getting anxiety because of the way it's being trained, and that's why it's barking. So that might be something that that policeman would then maybe need to go to a vet or go to a trainer, but they need a push to go there, and it's probably the homeowners association that's going to do it.
I agree. If they're rentals, he may just leave. If he owns the
Yeah.
townhome, then that's much more like just similar to all those things I did with my dog. Did I want to
Hmm.
board my dog for a month? Like this
Yeah.
was my heart dog, right? I
Yeah.
wanted her with me all the time.
Yeah.
But I didn't want her to get taken away from me for being falsely accused of
Right.
barking when she wasn't.
Right. And what can they actually
So,
kick you out? I mean, do they
they
have
oh
legally
yes.
I mean,
It's in the
that's
homeowners yeah.
but is that an
I mean,
enforceable contract? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I
because
don't know.
you could go to court over that and be like, you can't force me to, sell my property,
Yeah.
right? I suppose, or
Yeah,
leave.
but they can force you to get rid of your dog, which in most,
Hmm.
if not all states, is considered property, you know?
Can
So
they?
it's, I
Anyway,
mean, yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, as
That's why.
sad as that is, and
Yeah.
again, I don't agree with this, but
Yeah.
like they forced me to get rid of my gas barbecue grill.
Oh,
It's a
true.
thing. And in
Yeah.
in the
Mhm.
eyes of the law in most
Yeah.
states, I
I
think
get it.
it's
Yeah.
not all anymore, but in most
Yeah.
states, they're considered property.
Yeah. I
So,
know.
yeah, I'd choose your
Even though,
battles.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even though today we're recording on Father's Day, and my dog's got me a Father's Day present.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. He got
Is
me a bird feeder with a camera. I'm so
oh, I
excited.
want is
I'm
this
so
how
excited.
old are we getting now? Because I want one so badly.
Yeah, you turn like 52 and all of a sudden you're like, that's a
Yeah.
yellow-bellied warbler.
Is that a great red-breasted tit?
It is.
I feel
Uh,
like I have to throw in words like tit, even though I'm
yeah,
referring to a bird in this case,
you do.
just to keep our, explicit podcast, rating.
Right. Yeah. All right.
Fuck
I
those
think we
tits.
explicit. All right. I think we ground that barking one into the ground. Yeah, check with the
And, hey,
homeowner and
just
go
for
from
the
there.
record, look at me.
I'm
I'm,
still
like
You're
I'm
way ahead of me.
enjoying this now. It's kinda like a martini. It gets smoother and easier to drink as you go through it, and it's
Yeah.
not too sweet now. I don't
No?
hate
No?
this.
It's
I
like a lot
mean,
of alcoholic drinks. The more you drink, the better it gets.
yeah, it is.
Am I poisoned? A little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
All
Let's
right.
take a quick break. Come back. We've got one more question, and then we'll power through that. And so hopefully, we're helping y'all out. All right. Be right back.
Sounds good.
Cheers. Hi, this is Dr. Mike, the Bowtie Vet Guy. Thanks for tuning in to The Vets Unleashed. If you want to find out more about us or our guests, or to leave an amazing review, head on over to thevetsunleashed.com or find us on Instagram or Facebook at The Vets Unleashed. There you'll find information on the podcast, how to be a guest, and our lecture series and speaking availability. Now let's get back to the show. You ready for the next one?
I am. I enjoyed the first one more than I thought I would. This
Yeah,
is
that was
kind of
good.
fun.
I know
Are
it
you
is.
enjoying this?
This season, I'm really enjoying just sitting and talking. Like, this really reminds me of what it's like to sit around with a bunch of vets when we get together and talk about, like, oh, at one time I had this, and oh, I remember that,
Yes.
and yeah, right.
I
That
agree.
kind of,
And
yeah, that
I
one-upsman.
think yeah, this is our well, technically our third in our season 8 series where we're answering the listener mail. But it for me it's just been fun, and I think this is the first time in all of our 7 previous seasons where the majority of the content is going to be, I think anyone who loves pets and owns pets, okay, has pets as part of their family. Anyone that loves animals is going to enjoy this, not just vets and vet techs
Agreed.
and yeah, it's
Yeah.
fun.
So
Okay,
I don't know. Okay, here we
question
go.
2.
Question
All
two.
right.
Okay. Dear Vets Unleashed, I'm a vet tech in a busy suburban practice, and I suspect a colleague is diverting pain medications. Ooh. Often, patients seem uncomfortable after she medicates them, but then fine when I give another dose. I have been watching her closely, and whenever I'm there, the pain meds work fine. When I'm not, they mysteriously seem not to work. The drug logs all seem in order, but that's not my job except to log what I use or discard. I love my job and don't want to cause drama, but I can't stop thinking about those poor, uncomfortable patients. Do I report my suspicions or gather more evidence? Concerned in Columbus.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well,
Ooh.
I know how we're both going to answer this one.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
exactly. But before we go there, I think I just want to say, because I think we're both going to say you need to talk to the medical director of the hospital. But before that, I would say placebo effect is a real thing. And the placebo effect in animals and in people, for infants, for children, is can be as high as 60%, where you
Yeah.
give something and you think you see a difference because you gave it and because you want them to get better, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I would say, first off, yes, if you have a gut feeling that someone is, there's concerns here for not only the animal patients, but also for a potential addict. So,
Yeah.
we'll go down that second road in a minute. But I would say you may, just because you think that the meds are working better when you give them, may not be because they haven't had product. There's also the chance, theoretically, that maybe this RVT or CVT, this licensed tech is seeing more of the critical patients. Maybe she works more with the surgeon than the other vets. And so maybe her patients typically need more things like opioids, controlled substances, than other patients. And therefore, yes, they are getting more better and you're seeing more of a response with your meds, but her medications were given legitimately and were vital.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I don't think necessarily that this information incriminates someone.
Agreed.
Do you agree with that?
I totally
Okay.
agree with that. Yeah. And if you're asking, Columbus, if you're asking if you should set up some sort of elaborate sting so that you can then gather more information, a la Scooby Doo, and then only to find out that it's really the mob that's diverting all these things. And now you have to go on the run with your dog, solving murders across the country. Yes, that's
We've
what you
moved
need to
on from
do.
Scooby Doo. None of that
You
ever
have to
happened
do
in
that.
Scooby
Yeah.
Doo. It
No,
was
no, they
just
always
old
found
man
out.
Jenkins
Yep.
down
Yeah. Yeah.
at the
You
flour mill.
absolutely should do that. Go across the country solving mysteries.
Hmm.
Um But you're right. No, it doesn't incriminate them. But if you have concerns, talk to the medical director, right? And if you're a medical director, you don't have, or a manager at a clinic, and a lot of these little clinics don't, they're just started up, mom and pop, and don't have things in place for handling this kind of a event. You need to have those policies written up, and everybody needs to know exactly what's going to happen and when.
Well, and the other thing, I think in this case, I mean, it's not an uncommon thing in my, nearly 3 decades, in, as a veterinarian. I've encountered 2 situations where I was, where it was determined that there was, addiction and that
Yep.
people were taking product to fuel their addiction. I
Yeah.
really am not very both of those cases, I knew these 2 people well. It's
Hmm.
heartbreaking. I
Yeah.
mean, they were people who loved animals, and yet they that's where, addiction makes us hurt people we love. It makes us hurt the animals we love. So
Yeah.
there's no judgment there for me. These 2 people needed help, but you joke about starting a sting,
Yeah. No.
and I think, no, there's a DEA, they
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
stings. They will put
Hmm.
cameras in a hospital. They will, in the one case, we didn't, unbeknownst to us, that hospital was being recorded and followed by the DEA, and they
Oh.
found the person, and
Yeah.
she desperately needed help.
Yeah.
Same with the second one, which was a man,
Right.
and in both cases, their addiction was causing them to, you know,
Yeah.
to have behaviors that weren't appropriate, and they were
Right.
both incredible. One was a veterinarian, one was a technician.
Yeah.
So, it's heartbreaking, but
Yeah.
because the potential is there, you're not only gonna be helping the patients if your gut feeling is right,
Right.
you're really that there's a person here who needs help
Needs
as
help. Yeah,
well.
let's have some empathy for them as well, for
Yeah.
sure. And if you're, yeah, I mean, if you're listening and you're a vet or a vet tech that's having trouble with addiction, there's lots of help out there. There's plenty of help wherever you are. Definitely seek it out. And if you think you're getting away with it, you're probably not. People are figuring it out pretty quickly. There's no question.
Report your suspicions
Yes.
to not just your superior if as a technician, but I would say
Hmm.
also the medical director, and maybe
Yep.
only the medical director.
Yeah.
In that case, maybe going over your supervisor, it's not really going over, but around,
Right.
just so it
Hmm.
doesn't affect your team and your team dynamic if it's not real.
Right.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I think would
Yeah.
be
That'd be the
good.
way to go. That's
And
what I
as
do.
a medical director, when I've been a medical director, I would
Hmm.
have included the technician supervisor as well in that
Of course.
conversation.
Unless it
But I
is the
think in that,
technician supervisor.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
she didn't say, just said a colleague.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and the other thing is that it's the medical directors, right? The technicians don't have a DEA license. We do. So that's probably, I would report it there just to the people who have the license and are ultimately responsible for the product. So I guess it's not really going around, even though, like I said, as a medical director, I would include the tech supervisor if it wasn't her or him.
Yeah. Even where we are, I mean, we're a big practice, but not gigantic. Um, we have one, two, three leads, and then an HR person ahead of that, and then the owner. So we have like several layers you could go to, and we always tell everybody, wherever you feel comfortable. If you need to go to a different department from yours to talk to somebody because you don't feel comfortable, absolutely feel free to do that.
This was fun.
This is
And the
great. I
drink
can't
was
wait for the
better.
next one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I can't wait to see what letters we get next.
I'm excited as well.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. Thanks for joining us for Drinks and a conversation about veterinary medicine and our beloved animals. The Vets Unleashed podcast is wholly owned by the Vets Unleashed LLC with excellent production by Earweevil Audio. For more information about us, head over to thevetsunleashed.com. And as always, don't take advice from people who've been drinking.